Welcome back to the Model 3 Man channel. We have a very special guest with us today, and all the way from Ontario, and this face should be instantly recognizable if you've ever looked at any Tesla videos online. Trevor Page. Welcome, Trevor. Good to have you here, but you live in Ontario and you've come all the way to Vancouver. Why? I know it's the most beautiful town in Canada, but...
Well, to be honest with you, I'm actually here with Ian Pavelko, who's one of our co-hosts on the Tesla Owners Online podcast. And we're doing a special project. We are going to be traveling across Canada on the mainland. So basically we're going to start in Tswassen, and we're going to go all the way to Halifax, Nova Scotia on the newly completed Tesla Supercharger network. And we're going to be
take you about a week or so?
No, we're doing it nonstop.
Oh!
We're only stopping to charge.
There has to be a strong motivation because this is a crazy venture. So what motivated you to do this?
Well, in all honesty, full credit goes to Ian because he had actually called me about 2 weeks prior to our vacation in Florida at the beginning of February and said, I got this crazy idea. The Supercharger network is now complete. So what do you think about driving from coast to coast? And the purpose of it is not about setting a record, even though that's part of the thing, is to destroy the often repeated myth from the media and of course from the public that electric vehicles can't drive long distances, you can't do it in the cold, and 3, it takes too long to charge. Yeah. So that's the purpose, destroy those myths once and for all.
As long as it doesn't destroy you and the car.
Well, I will say one thing, at the end of this trip I'll know what Apollo astronauts felt like living in a tin can for a week.
I do want to mention that this was something I also thought I'd like to do, and then I saw someone from Vancouver Island about to do it. I did not realize that their mission came to a halt. And why was that? Well,
full credit where it's due for those 2 gentlemen who actually attempted it before we did. They actually ran into foul weather in northern Ontario. Okay. And to answer your question, as far as obstacles are concerned, weather is about the biggest issue for us. The Supercharger network is actually complete and actually working because Ian actually left from Montreal and came all the way out west until he fell ill with a case of pneumonia, but he's on the mend now, so we're actually going to begin. So we actually had to delay a week so he could get better. But in his case, he reported that the Supercharger network was working exceptionally well. There was only one station that was down, but it wasn't an issue for him. He just skipped it, went on to the next one. Right. So we know at this point that all the supercharging stations, including all the new 250 kilowatt ones that went live at the end of December, are actually live.
So in terms of obstacles, you're not anticipating that the charging exercise would be problematic. What other things might make it difficult to do it within 72 hours?
Exhaustion, probably. I should mention that Ian is actually the primary driver for this trip. I am the relief driver. I'm going to be doing a lot of social media and documenting it via videos and that kind of thing. So it'll be an interesting prospect to do this nonstop. I mean, as far as long distance is concerned, I mean, both Ian and I have gone to Florida and back in our Teslas, and it's not an issue. Matter of fact, we've both done it in approximately 24, 25 hours.
What is the distance from Tswassen up to Halifax?
It's approximately 6,000 kilometers, or about 3,900 miles.
So perhaps another obstacle, the performance of the car. Do you anticipate that heating and anything like that you can think of that might...
I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because one of the reasons we're actually doing it now in February, which in Canada is typically the coldest month of the year, is again, that was deliberate because electric cars suffer less range in the cold. Not that the battery's damaged or anything like that, you just don't get as much power out of it. Of course, you have to heat the cabin and so on and so forth. And we're also doing it in the least efficient Tesla Model 3, a performance Model 3 of all cars. So if we can do it, you can do it.
Right. But on the plus side, the cold weather will help to keep the car and the motor and all the rest of it cooler. So does the Model 3 ever overheat?
No, it doesn't. It has an exceptionally good heat and cooling system. My experience, of course, have been down in Florida. The car is exceptionally efficient in the warmer temperatures. Right. The cold is the worst part of the vehicle because you have to keep the humans inside. The car could care less about how cold it is. It's the humans inside that have to be warmed up. And we are not going to be doing any cheating on this. We will keep the temperature at a regular
constant temperature,
like 20 degrees, 21 degrees C, which is nice and comfortable. If we have to use air conditioning, we will. The whole point of, like I said, the exercise again is to make sure that we do these in the worst conditions possible to really dispel the whole myth that the cars can't go the distance and winter's bad for these cars. The one thing that a lot of people I think misconstrue about electric vehicles is the heating and the air conditioning. I'll tell you right now, air conditioning is a non-issue with these cars because it uses a small motor to run the air compressor.
Right.
Heating is the problem because it has to pull all that energy to light up a resistive heater in most cases, and that's where all the energy really gets sapped out. So it's worse in the winter months, but in the summer months it's not an issue because running an air conditioner basically has no effect on the car's range.
So, look, here's the thing. Ian's doing most of the driving. When is Ian doing the sleeping?
Well, because it's going to be nonstop, we will be switching drivers. So we have a passenger side, we have blankets, we have blinds, earplugs, I mean, everything we need to be as comfortable as possible, including some medication if we need to.
And a virtual bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the nice things about the cars, I mean, I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but there is a camping mode in the vehicle. So if you happen to be solo and you're out in the middle of somewhere, you can actually put a mattress in the back of the car and turn on the camp mode where actually you maintain the temperature inside the car basically all night long.
And I guess that on a long trip like this and with fatigue, autopilot, auto steer is going to help a lot.
Yes, that's a great point. One of the great things about the Teslas is every Tesla has what's called autopilot built in, which is actually two components. It's traffic aware cruise control, which we call TAC, which is the radar keeping distance. So that's wonderful in stop and go traffic as well as your long distance. But the big one is actually auto steer, where the car actually stays in the lane. And you will not believe how rested you are on long trips because the car does all the minute driving for you. So these cars are fantastic for long distance driving. It just takes all of the work out of the equation.
Can I pick your brain on something? I've experienced this, and I know you have. Traffic aware cruise control. It is beautifully responsive to what's ahead. But what about these incidences where somebody slams into the back of a stationary truck and the car did not seem to respond to it?
Yeah, well, what's happened here is that there's another component to the safety factor of these cars, and a lot of newer cars have this as well. It's called automatic emergency braking. And unfortunately, most people think that automatic emergency braking is a panacea to prevent all accidents, but it's not. It's designed to reduce the likelihood of injury by reducing the speed of a potential impact. It's not designed to keep you out of all accidents. So yes, there are many cases where autopilot got confused or the radar got confused and the braking has happened, but like I said, it's not designed to prevent all accidents.
It
wasn't sufficient, yes.
Okay. One of the things that I see a lot on Tesla videos online is a strategy for charging that is sometimes a little counterintuitive. Some folks swear by charging as high as you can, getting to 85, maybe 90%. Others talk about charging until the rate slows down. What are you going to do on this 72-hour trip?
Well, what Ian has discovered on his way out here, he's developed a technique that works exceptionally well, especially on the new 250 kilowatt chargers. Most people, when you say lithium ion, equate those with phones. And they always think that, well, I need to charge to 100% all the time. On an electric car, because the usage case of the battery is different from, say, a cell phone, these batteries will last essentially 20 years. The chemistry is different, the cycling of the charging is different. For most people, when you charge at home and you wake up, it's perfectly safe to set it at, say, 90%. 100% is not good for the battery long term because it will degrade faster. So what you do is you normally set it to 90%. But the thing is that the Supercharger network, when you use it as part of your navigation system, the system will say, go to this charger, charge for X amount of time, and then hopscotch. So the navigation system in the Tesla is actually designed to get you to the next charger or to the next station as quickly as possible. So you find yourself, when you get to a charger and you have to hopscotch to the next one, it may only charge to 40% or 50% based on the distance, not you need to go to 90% to get there. That's the main difference. So if I give you an example here, I'll use a glass of water. And this is probably the best way I explain batteries for people. See, if you have a glass of water and it's very empty, you can fill it fairly quickly up until you get to the top and you have to back off, otherwise it'll overflow. Battery is exactly the same way. So when the battery,
that's a good analogy.
Yeah, so the charge rate when it's very low on a battery, guess what? It charges very, very fast. So this is what we've discovered on this trip, is that because the new 250 kilowatt chargers charge the battery so fast at the lowest SOC, state of charge, that we are going to basically not really worry about the distance so much and actually charge the car to, or actually drive the car till we get to a low SOC, 2-3%, get really into the red range. Because once you plug it in, the system just slams the battery as fast as possible. Yeah. So using that methodology, we feel that we can cut the charging down on most of these chargers about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes on most average to be able to get to the new ones. Now, keep in mind, most of the 250 kilowatt chargers that have been opened are basically between Alberta and Northern Ontario. So that long range of chargers now are the fast ones. The earlier chargers have been built on the East Coast and the West Coast. They're a little slower, but we're not too concerned about those ones at this point.
Okay. People don't know that intuitively. And they know that they want to get as much as they can so they can go further, but they don't think about...
Well, it's a comfort... for most people, it's a comfort zone. Like, I need to get into that green all the time. Right. But we've discovered with this trip, especially Ian coming out west here, he's developed a technique.
Yeah, because filling longer and higher is diminishing returns. Because, in fact, at the slow part where you said filling the glass, it all slows down. And now you're wasting time rather than gaining time.
Well, exactly.
So obviously, one of the most important things to me, don't tell Janine, is eating. and I'm thinking a 72-hour trip where you may be at a supercharger that has no restaurants or food outlets or anything. Are you bringing a whole pack of groceries in the back with you?
We do have some snacks in the car, but one of the things that Ian has discovered really is that from his travels out here west that there are food facilities and restroom facilities everywhere we go, so we don't anticipate any problems with that. Matter of fact, Ian has reported on many occasions that when he plugged into the 250 kilowatt charger, he barely had enough time to run across the street, hit the restroom, grab a snack to come back before the phone told him it was time to go. Right. So they're very, very fast.
So Trevor, obviously as a YouTuber, the most important part of the exercise is all the camera gear, all of the stuff that you can use to record it and then blog and then upload to YouTube here. So this is your bag. It's mammoth. What equipment have you got inside here?
I've looked at a lot of different bags, including some expensive ones. But this one here, and of course this isn't sponsored or promoted or anything like that, but this is made by a company called Nearer. And I tell you, this bag for $100 Canadian is fantastic for photography gear. So it actually has two major components, including the pockets on the side. In this case, if I unzip the backpack, this is the part that actually faces your back. So I have a variety of different camera equipment gear. The camera recording on here, obviously I can't show it here in frame, but it is my Sony a6400, which is wonderful. So I have a microphone, a case. You need that. Let me see here. I have DJI Osmo Action Cam. It has hyperlapse built in. It's fantastic. So I plan on doing a coast-to-coast time lapse with this camera alone, all 72 hours approximately. We'll be recording on that. I'll probably publish that as a separate video so people can see what traveling across Canada. Of course, I have a spare with there because you always need more. I've got a variety of different mounts for the...
Is this a suction? Does this go on the glass roof that we have?
That'll be the main one for this camera. And then I have...
Where did you get that? Because this is something
that's another Amazon thing.
All right.
Yeah. And then for, let me see here, I've got microphones. This is a wonderful wireless microphone, the Rode system. So if you're doing interviews and stuff, you can have one clipped on you. This is an excellent one. I like that one a lot.
That's nice.
And then I have, let me see here, what else do I have? Somewhere in here, I forget where all my equipment, oh, here it is right here. So I've got an aperture LED light. So when you need to do interviews or whatever, you've got a little, for a hot shoe, whatever, you've got one of these. And some,
is that mount, or do you just hold it? Or?
No, it's got a hot shoe mount, or a cold shoe mount. You can just put that on there. I've got my mouse for editing, for video. I've got tripods, because I also have my great big Weebo S. This is my gimbal. Yes, and I've managed to take some fantastic photos.
It's not a DJI? What brand is this?
This is a Zhiyun. Chinese one.
Yes.
This is the brand new one that just came out, and it is. I've had a variety of different gimbals over the years. This one is unbelievable because it'll handle my big rig, cages, all kinds of stuff, because they're very, very powerful motors on this, and it locks into place for transportation. It's super easy to set up.
And the battery power?
14 hours.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Wow. So that's my new favorite toy.
Okay.
A variety of different lenses. So this is a Sigma f1.4. This is a prime fixed lens there. And then I've got an what is this?
16, a nice wide angle.
Yeah, that's that's a 16 millimeter f1.4. So you get the crazy bokeh, which is really nice. This is a, let me see here. This is an f2.8 prime lens. And then in here I've got a spare kit with cables and stuff. And I do have a large solar-powered battery charger for all of my devices when you travel. And
this...
Well, this is a TSA lock. Yeah, it's a TSA lock on this side here. So when you zip it up, you have that issue. And then I carry a tripod, which I'm using for the camera. I've got a Gobi or Joby, what do you recall this? Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, the great big Gorilla Pod, because
like
you need this for the vlogging, the Casey Neistat thing happening. And then on this side, it unzips, and in here I have
the MacBook.
I got a MacBook Pro, of course. Every photographer needs a good MacBook Pro.
Yeah, very nice.
And in here I have my kit, which has my adapters. So it's got Ethernet, USB,
connectors,
SD card slots,
card readers.
Yes. And this is a 500 gigabyte SSD hard drive. This is where all the footage gets dumped.
Samsung?
Yes,
T5.
I've got
the one in gold.
Yes.
Same one.
By the way, if you have Sentry mode in your car, get the Jetta USB wireless hub and put this inside and forget about it. It's wonderful. So that's basically
my video clips here.
So essentially, that's what's in my bag. And like I said, I carry all this stuff, and I'll mix and match the components that are in there depending on what I'm doing. But this is what I brought for the trip, and I think it's
does Ian bring any, or he just brings his driving skills?
He has a driving skills. He does have a RAM mount on his display for his phone because he likes to use Waze as a backup for things. But no, he's not a photographer. But that's my job.
That's good. No dueling egos there. Eh?
No. We share a lot of interests and stuff, so we're very good friends. So hopefully we won't kill each other.
Hopefully you'll still be friends at the end of the
Yes, no fist fights. Hopefully.
With all of the video activity and the film activity on the road, are you going to be editing live or editing during the day? Because you're not stopping at night in a hotel where you can do it. Yeah. And having been on a trip myself, I know how difficult it is to produce full edits and uploads while you're on the go.
Yeah, I think the goal, that's a difficult proposition there. I think I'm going to try and edit as best I can in the car. Uploads may have to wait till the end of the trip where I get a solid, stable internet connection.
But you can tweet.
Oh, yeah.
And you will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll be documenting it on Twitter and the usual social networks as we
So most of the report back will come at the end when you put the whole thing together and compile
Exactly. And matter of fact, most of the media interviews will likely happen at the end too, because we've had several different media outlets reach out to us and stuff. But I think most of that's going to happen towards the end when we reach Halifax.
How are you going to prevent the media from twisting the story at the end of it?
Well, again, it's staying on script, right?
Staying on script, yeah. Okay. If the trip had started from the other side of the country, it would have been closer to where you are. So what were some of the logistical issues that you faced as you had to get yourself all here, get a car back here, and then travel across?
Yeah. Well, there were several different ways of kind of organizing that, because I live in the Toronto area and Ian lives in Montreal. Okay. So we were trying to figure out what's the best way. And, some people have said, well, you should have shipped the car over. So actually what we ended up doing is I drove to Ian's house in Montreal, left my car there. It's plugged in, so it's perfectly safe. So that when we reach Halifax, we only have to come as far as Montreal.
Right.
And then I have my car to drive home.
And the car is Ian's.
Yes, so, we're actually using Ian's car for this particular trip only because he was already present in Montreal with our sponsor. And I should give a big shout out to the guys at Fast Wheels who are sponsoring this whole trip. So thank you very much for these guys for doing this. We're calling it the Lightning EV Run. It's coast to coast. So thank you for Fastco for sponsoring us. So.
Did I hear the word cannonball somewhere? I mean,
you know what? We're in Canada. We should have called it the Snowball Run, right?
Right. Okay. So one of the things that this trip entails is a continuous 72-hour use of the car. Is it likely that any component in the vehicle might cause you problems?
We don't anticipate any problems. The one thing to remember about the Model 3 or any electric car for most part, they only have 1 or 2 moving parts in it as far as the motor is concerned. We don't have hundreds and hundreds of parts and stuff. There's not any need for things like oil changes and that type of thing. So, no, the motors are very solid in this case.
Electrical motors run typically endlessly.
I mean, their motors have been in service for over 100 years and they don't have any issues. So, no, we don't anticipate any problems with that. I think the worst would be maybe a problem with the 12-volt battery, which activates the contactors and stuff. But one of the nice things is on his way out here that Ian actually stopped at the service center in Calgary, and they've been fantastic to him, and actually went over the car and gave it a clean bill of health. So everything's looking good for this trip.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the things that when you're in close quarters for 72 hours, that's 3 days by my reckoning, with the same person, how how do you guys get on together, just personally?
Ian is a very, very good friend of mine. He has a lot of the same interests as I do. I mean, we're very close in age. We share a lot, like I said, we share a lot of the same interests and stuff, some very esoteric stuff. We brought lots of audiobooks, podcasts to listen to. So there will not be any shortage of discussion on this trip. Again, I think what I mentioned before, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I have a feeling the car is going to be a little smelly towards the end. I mean, much like Apollo astronauts living in a tin can for about a week and stuff. But no, I don't anticipate any problems.
So just to end off with, any other relevant facts or issues to do with the run? I know that you've had a bit of a delay in getting off here and had to suffer being in Vancouver for a whole week.
Suffer? I wouldn't call it suffering.
In temperatures of balmy 8 degrees.
Wow.
But any other issues surrounding this exercise?
No, I can't really think of anything right now. We've had a little bit of a setback because Ian has been battling what was thought of as a flu. It turned out to be a mild case of pneumonia. So he got checked out and it was requested for him to stay in Calgary to rest up. So that's why we decided to delay a week. And me being in Vancouver, instead of me incurring an expense of flying home and then back again, I just decided, you know what, I'll just stay in Vancouver.
Right.
So with that, I actually have to say a great big shout out to everybody here in the Vancouver area. Have been absolutely fantastic in helping me out, getting around, taking me to meals. Thank you very much. Matter of fact, I even have a fan out there who loaned me his standard range Model 3 for the whole week. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have any wheels. Of course, you loaned me one of your bikes and stuff. That's been absolutely fantastic. So, the community here has been fantastic and very supportive of this. So I want to say a big thank you.
Well, we had a farewell meal last Sunday down at the Montanas in Tswassen. Likely, we may have another farewell meal.
We will, actually. There is one organized. Yes,
okay.
There is one organized for Tuesday evening at Pat and Boone's.
Okay,
In Tswassen.
So if you belong to the Tesla Owners Club Vancouver, check your email because there'll be a notification about that. And let's have a big send-off as Trevor and Ian get ready to go, and they'll be going the day after. So, Trevor, thank you very much. It's been
my
an absolute pleasure, and I'm dying to know how it turns out. I literally am. And I think that for anyone that's out there, the spirit of adventure is not dead. And Tesla has awakened it in all of us. We all get into our cars, and it feels like an adventure. Just driving around, just going shopping.
Teslas make driving fun.
They make driving fun. They even make parking fun.
Yeah.
So, once again, folks, thank you very much. Thanks for your support of the channel. Do feel free to subscribe and click notify, and feel free to use this referral code here down there, which gets you 1,000 miles or 1,500 kilometers of free supercharging. Once again, so I'll see you next time. Take care.